What's up, Sagittarius? This is Jesse with 44 Astro with a general super new moon solar eclipse tarot reading for the solar eclipse new moon that's going to be coming up on April 8th, 2024. It's going to be at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be at 19 degrees Aries, which puts it in the second mansion of the moon. I'll put a picture of the second mansion up. Second mansion is a good time to ask for a raise at work or a promotion or go to someone of authority and ask for a favor. But it's really all about overcoming conflict. Be bold and make the first move is the card you got. Now, the astrology that's going on right now. Let's break down this solar eclipse and what a solar eclipse is, right? So the solar eclipse occurs when the moon blocks the light of the sun for a short amount of time. So essentially, your inner world, your darkness, right, is blocking your ego or your conscious light. And it's forcing you to look at the dark aspects of self. And yogis and tantric practitioners in the Hindu tradition of things believe that during solar eclipse, right there, an individual could make exponential growth spiritually, like super fast. The reason they believe this is because it is like an entire year occurring immediately or at once, right? Because think about what a year is, right? The death and rebirth, right? The light dying, the sun, because everything dies in the winter, less sunlight, and then it's born again. Easter, the resurrection of Christ takes place in spring. That's when stuff is growing again and it's warm and it's light. And that's kind of what the solar eclipse is. It's the sun dying when it's blocked by the moon, and then reborn again when it comes back out. It essentially is forcing the light and dark aspects to come together, for there to be a focus on the dark aspects for an amount of time so that they can be worked out and you can outgrow them, or they can help you grow. And so they believe because it's basically a year taking place in one celestial event, there can be a lot of growth that occurs at that time. So, also, what is occurring along with this exact conjunction at 19 degrees Aries with the sun and the moon, is at a perfect conjunction as well with Chiron. And I'm going to put a picture of the key up, which is the representative of Chiron, which is an asteroid that orbits in between Saturn and Uranus. So, the story of Chiron is the wounded healer. He was a centaur that taught Hercules, Ophiuchus. He taught Ophiuchus so well that he made people immortal. And then Hades was upset with this because he was no longer getting souls and went to Zeus and told him about it. And then Zeus struck down Ophiuchus and killed him. And they put him up in the stars. And that is the 13th sign of the zodiac, if you were interested, which is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. It's the dark spot. It's kind of where all my planets are. That's why I know so much about it. It's the constellation of the guy holding the snake. And then Hercules' foot is on the snake's head. It represents overcoming the lower aspects of individuality, the snake. But there's also an eagle, little eagle above it constellation, which is the higher aspects. And these are all aspects of Scorpio. But it's in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. The reason that area is important is because it's in alignment with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That part of the zodiac is in alignment with the center of the Milky Way galaxy. That's why it's a very occult spot of the zodiac. But anyway, the story of Chiron is that he was hit by an arrow that was dipped in the venom of the Hydra. But Chiron was immortal, so he could not die. But he also could not heal the poison because the poison of the Hydra was very strong. So he had to be sick. He was a healer that could not heal himself, essentially. And that's kind of what it represents in a natal chart, or kind of what it represents astrologically. It's something that was very painful in a person's life that they outgrew, or that helped them grow if you survive it. And then they're able to help others grow because of it. Like they can become a healer. They're wounded, but they become the healer because of it. On a mundane level, it can represent someone, if it's heavy in an individual's chart, like conjunct the ascendant, it can be a sickly individual or an individual that suffers from ailments that can't be healed. Or it can represent a hypochondriac, someone that does not want to get sick and is very, very careful. They will alter their life in many ways just to not get sick. Very scared of it. But what it really is, celestially, because it's in between Saturn and Uranus, it is the rainbow bridge. It's what connects us from the Saturn on in, which is the material individual aspects of us, the individual aspects of the psyche and the individual. And the reason it represents that is because Saturn has the longest orbit of of 20, not the longest orbit, but a long orbit of 27 to 31 years, right? But that's still enough to fall within an individual lifetime multiple times. So Saturn on in, all those planets move a lot. And you'll experience a lot of different variations and nuances within an individual because all of their movements are short. So you'll see lots of different variations. And because you get so many different variations and aspects because of all that movement, it represents an individual because it's unique. But the outer planets, they move much slower. So they affect entire generations. So they are more representative of the collective. So think of Saturn on in, and Saturn is the guardian on the threshold, or Saturn, Satan. And Uranus on out is the spiritual aspect, or the collective. So Saturn on in is the individual. That's why he represents the devil, because he can represent like very strong selfishness and greed and those types of things, and material, and control. But outer, that's more of a collective influence. So think of it as the individual, mundane material from Saturn on in, and then the outer being the collective spiritual aspect of humanity as a whole, or as the other side of us. And the bridge between that is Chiron. That's why he's a key. He's the key between the mundane to the sacred. So the material to the spiritual, the mundane to the sacred. So that's, and the solar eclipse is also that. It's also the dark and the light being connected. That's what enlightenment is. It's when you have the channel open between your unconscious lunar aspects and your inner world with your outer ego and solar aspects, when they're connected. That's when we see the alchemical images. It's always a sun and a moon, because a person has to open the communication between them and become reborn and become whole. So that's why it represents that. That's why spring is the rebirth of Christ, the Son of God. It's solar worship, all of it. That's why Christians in the Protestant tradition go to church on Sunday. Okay. It's the same story over and over again. You look at Zarathustra, you look at Osiris, Quetzalcoatl. These are all rebirth stories, right? The Buddha, he was born of a miraculous birth, the white elephant. It's the same story. It's trying to teach us about ourselves. It's a story that we're trying to live out. We're trying to unite those aspects of ourselves. And this is a perfect time to do it. Not only with that eclipse forcing us to look at the darkness so that we can open the channel, Chiron is there to help us outgrow and heal. He's the bridge between the inner and the outer. And what's even scarier as far as on the collective scale is all this is taking place in Aries, the god of war. What's going on our planet right now? The war in Ukraine, the war in Palestine. We are about to be shined. The light is we're about to be forced to look at that darkness and the evil that's going on with that. And it's either going to get worse, or it's going to force us into a position where we have to heal it. And hopefully that's what happens. But anyway, I digress. Let me get you some cards, Sagittarius. This is a great time to meditate, because you can grow exponentially or fast or whatever it is that your spiritual practice is. Okay? Because there can be great growth right now. There can be great healing right now. We're going to be forced to look at those aspects of ourselves. And it'll help us grow and heal. And even in our world, it will. And it's very powerful because it's a super moon. Super moon means it's as close as it can get in orbit. Like it's elliptical orbit. On the ends, it's further out. When the moon is on the sides, it's closer to the Earth. So that's why it's a super moon, because it's as close as it can get in orbit. And the sun is exalted in Aries and is in the second decan of Aries, which he rules. He rules the second decan of Aries and is exalted in Aries. So the sun's powerful as well. And if you want to know what decans are, I'd use the Western system. So each sign has 30 degrees, and every 10 degrees is a decan. So split it in thirds: 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. First decan, second decan, third decan. All signs have 3 decans. Second decan of Aries is ruled by the sun, and the sun is exalted in Aries naturally. So this is a very powerful celestial event. So it'd be great transformation in us and in our world, hopefully for the better. All right, Sagittarius, let me get you a reading. Be bold, make the first move was your card if I didn't show it. Be bold, make the first move. So if you're shy about something or you're holding back, which generally isn't a Sagittarian thing, but it could be, depends on what your chart is. Maybe you need to make the first move, especially if it's around love. And it looks like it could be. The card you have right now is the World. This is like completion, or having everything that you want. Being completely balanced and everything being together and being round. But it's crossed by deception theft, lies. Could be you lying to yourself. This is why it's saying be bold and make the first move, because swords represent our thoughts, and this individual is stealing thoughts, or it could be you're sabotaging yourself. This could be sabotage. But it could be someone else that's doing it as well. Okay. Behind you, you could have been involved in a court case or some kind of a legal matter that happened recently, but likely this is some kind of balance, you feeling like you were balanced. But now you don't necessarily feel that way because your conscious influence is worry, bad dreams, anxiety. Maybe you're convincing yourself to not do something, or you're not willing to make that first move. And it could have to do with all kinds of different things. You could just be worried that you're going to get rejected. Fear of rejection, that's a common thing. It's human, right? And that could be one of your shadow aspects that you need to look at, right? The unconscious influence is a Queen of Cups. This could be an individual that you're thinking about. But it could be an individual in your life, or you could be cusp Scorpio or something like that. Some kind of mixture of water signs with your Sagittarius. I'm heavy Scorpio and Sagittarius. Almost all my planets are there at that dark spot of the zodiac in which we were talking about. It's a very small spot, and I got three planets there, and then all the rest of them are in a stellium surrounding it. So it's kind of how I am. That's why I've learned so much about it, because that's where all my planets are. But it could be an actual person that you're thinking about, a water sign, somebody you're interested in. You might need to make the first move on this water sign. Or it's you, and you're trying to, you have an emotional influence, some kind of emotional influence in your life. But this is a good emotional influence. So you might be a truly caring person. So it's around you. But I think your mind is getting in the way. Like, I think you're emotionally stable, but your mind is like playing tricks. In front of you, you're going to have to plant some seeds. You're going to have to work on something. You're going to have to set things in motion. So it's like you have to make the first move to plant these seeds so that like this opportunity can grow and manifest. So there's something in front of you, but for some reason you're not making a move toward it. If it's a person, because this is you right now, you have all kinds of love to give. You have all the love in the world to give right here. This is a huge cup overflowing, but for some reason you ain't willing to give it. Maybe you're shy. That's not really Sagittarius thing, to be fair. Sagittarians generally are not shy. But I mean, again, just because you're like a Sagittarius ascendant or sun or moon doesn't mean that that's the heaviest influence in your chart. You can have a lot of Cancer, Pisces, even Scorpio can all be introverted. I say water signs, but anybody can really be introverted. You want to look at the aspects. Aspects are the most important thing. Signs, not so much. They flavor things, and you can get an idea. It all works together, but aspects are really important. Saturn, if you have a strong Saturn, you may be introverted. Strong moon, you may be introverted. But it looks like you have all the love in the world to get, or you're ready to give it. You know, you're ready to a new emotional beginning. But for some reason, you're not taking that step. I don't know why you're not taking that step, but saying you're not. In your environment, transformation. Some kind of transformation is about to occur, is occurring. Maybe you're about to step into your confidence. If you looked at the mansion of the moon, it is about confidence. Not arrogance, but confidence. Or there could be an actual physical death that occurred, and it's got you upset right now. And something about that has got you tied up in a legal matter. Which, if that's the case, I'm sorry. That's unfortunate. But those kind of things happen in the world, or in the human life. It's just part of life. Life and death are linked. It's what it is. And it could have involved a legal matter in some way. And you're maybe you're waiting for some kind of settlement or money, and you're really worried about it. I hope that's not the case, but it definitely could be. And it may make you not want to offer yourself up again, like you don't. Maybe it was your spouse, you don't want to give love again. It could be something like that. But it's likely that you're self-sabotaging. You're not being confident and stepping forward like you should. And transformation is going to have to take place. This is saying offer the love. The advice is offer love. You have to make the first move. So if you're interested in someone, like maybe you're both shy, so you're kind of dancing around it. You've got to make the first move. And if you make the first move, things are going to happen very quickly. Very quickly. It's going to escalate quickly. Which that's the Sagittarius way. We're an arrow. Got to go. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my chart. I'm Scorpio sun, but I have a lot of Sagittarius. My ascendant and moon, and Mercury, and Uranus. It's all a stellium. It goes all the way up to Scorpio, where my sun is, and Saturn. Anyway, if you make this first move, if you're able to go through this transformation, plant these seeds, offer whatever this is you want to offer, Doesn't necessarily have to be about love. It could just be about something that you're really interested in or that you love to do, and you're worried that like it won't be accepted, or that people won't accept it in a certain way. But it's saying be bold and first make the first move. Either way, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn or you're gonna grow. You're gonna learn and you're gonna grow, and you're gonna win. Right? That's what Sagittarius do. They always win. Sagittarius are lucky. That's just what it is. Sagittarius is the luckiest sign. I don't care what anybody says. It's what it is. Sagittarius is the luckiest sign of the zodiac. Okay. And the bottom card saying you're not focusing on the positive. You're focusing on the spilt cups. There's something around you. Something's got your anxiety up, got you worried about something. But you're self-sabotaging right now. Be confident. Make the first move. It's going to work out. You just gotta overcome fear. This is the time to do it with this eclipse. I explained to you. The light will be shining on the dark aspects. Fear is one of them. Okay, Sagittarius. That's all I have. Please consider liking, subscribing, and commenting. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it would really help me, and it'll help the videos get pushed forward so I can get my watch hours. If I can get my watch hours and I get monetized, then I can really start making some videos, especially my astrology videos, which I really want to make. I'm only able to make them slowly now just because I don't have a lot of time even to do this and my regular work and everything else. But once it starts actually showing some results, then I'll definitely pour more into it. But either way, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm just grateful for you to be here, Sagittarius. Happy solar eclipse and new moon.